Hi, this is 6.4% equation. So what we're going to learn in this section it is another way to find out what the percent of a number is. So if 6.3 was a little shaky for you or you didn't like it the best, this is another way that you can find out the same information. So the percent equation is A equals P times W. A is the part, P is the percent, but remember you have to write it in a fraction or a decimal, and W is the whole. So let's do a couple examples. Example 1, finding a part of a whole. So what number is 24% of 50? So here's your equation, A equals P times W. 24%, any number with the percent sign is the percent. So you can either put 24 over 100, or remember you can also write it as a decimal, which is 0.24. Also, if you look over here, you can always use the double tape measure to kind of give yourself a good estimate. Okay, so 25% of 50 is 12.5, so our answer should be a little less than 12.5. So let's go ahead and figure this out. So we said 24 over 100, or 0.24, would be your percent of 50. That is our whole, so it goes where the W is. So we're going to take 24 divided by 100 times 50. And when we do that, we get 12. So that does fit into our reasonable answer. I would suggest also, and they always change it, they change it here to a fraction. I think if you're going to use a calculator, turning it into a percent or a decimal is much easier. Okay, finding a percent. So 9.5 is what percent of 25? So we have 9.5 as our part. We don't know the percent. That's what we're finding out. So that's P. And then 25 is our whole. So times 25. Again, over here we have the double tape to kind of give us an estimate. So here, since we have numbers on both sides of our equal sign, we have to combine them. So we have to get our variable by itself. So we have to undo what's being done to the variable. So we're multiplying 25 times P. So what's the opposite of multiplying by 25? Dividing by 25. So we're going to divide both sides by 25. 9.5 divided by 25 gives you 0.38. Move your decimal point over 2 spots, which is like multiplying it by 100, and you get 38%. Okay. Now example 3. Finding a whole. So this is the third type of problem you could find. 39 is 52% of what number? So 39 is our part. We're going to put it where the A is, equals 52% is our percent. So I'm going to change it to a decimal, 0.52, of what number? We don't know the whole, so the W stays the same. So again, we want to get our variable by itself. So we have to undo what's being done to it. We're multiplying it by 0.52. So the opposite would be to divide both sides by 0.52. And when we do that, we get 75. So 39 is 52% of 75. Okay. All right. So now we have some examples that we're going to do. So let me get my draw option here. Okay. So number 1. Oopsie. All right. Number 1. So we always start with the same equation. So A equals percent times whole. That's a time sign. Get that. Woo. Okay. So what number is 10% of 20? Okay. So what number is, so 10%, so 10's going to go, for the percent, I'm going to write it as a decimal. So 0.10. Times the whole, 20 is the whole. So I'm going to multiply it times 20. So then I can just go ahead and multiply that out, and I should get 2. Okay. Now, if you want to try these, you could stop the video and you can try them on your own. Look back at those 3 examples we did, or we can do them together too. That's up to you. Okay, number 2, A equals P times W. What number is 150% of 40? So it's the same type of problem. So my percent is 150%. So if I write that as a decimal, that's 1.5. And then I'm going to take that times 40. Okay, so 1.5 times 40 is 60. So A equals 60. Ooh, I hope we're doing good. Those are fun. Okay, so number 3. A equals P times W. Let's go back up here to number 3. It says 3 is what percent of 600? So 3 is our part. So we have 3 is what percent. We don't know what percent it is, right? So we put P there times 600. Okay, so this is where we have to get P by itself. We want to figure out what the percent is. So I'm going to divide both sides by 600. So then when I get that, 3 divided by 600, I'm going to go ahead and plug that into my calculator. I get 0.005. So I get 0.005. Now to turn that into a percent, I'm going to move the decimal point over 2 spots. So I really get 0.5%, so like a 0.5%. Okay? All right, let's try number 4. A equals P times W, and then I'll erase those to make more room. Number 4 is 18 is what percent of 20? So we have 18 is our part. What percent? We don't know. 20 is our whole. So if I go ahead and divide both sides by 20, I get 18 divided by 20 equals P, but I could reduce that, right? That's 9/10. So that would be 0.9. And then to change that to a percent, I just moved the decimal point over 2 spots. So it would be 90%. P equals 90%. Okay, oh, I hope those are doing good. Let's erase these top 2 here. I'm going to erase them. You could go ahead and set up number 5. Ooh. Okay. All right, so number 5. We have A equals P times W. 8 is 80% of what number? So 8 is my part. 80% is my percent, so I'm going to do 0.8 times W, the whole. Like I don't know what that is. So again, I want to get W by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by 0.8. So 8 divided by 0.8. 8 divided by 0.8 is 10. So 10 equals W. And the last one, number 6. A equals P times W. So 90 is 18% of what number? So 90 equals 0.18 times W. And then I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 0.18. And if you take 90 divided by 0.18, you get 500. So my whole in this case is 500. Whew, there we go. There's those 6. Okay, last example. Find the percent of sales tax on the food total. The answer the question, $1.65 is what percent of $27.50? Set up your equation, plug it in. 1.65 is your part, 27.50 is your total. What percent is that? It is 6%. Find the amount of a 16% tip on the food total. So you have to go up here to where it says food total, and that's $27.50. And you want to know what 16% of it is. And then you can plug 16% into your P as 0.16. The whole or the total is 27.50, and solve that to get $4.40. So here, number 7 says, what if find the amount of a 20% tip on the food total? So you'd be asking yourself, what tip amount is 20% of 27.50? So we're going to go ahead, and the percent is 20%, so that's 0.20 times the whole, which is 27.50. So if I take 27.50 times 0.20, I get $5.50 would be my tip. All right, there we go. That is the percent equation.